audience. They also take a lot of influencers. They invite tons of influencers.
Many of whom have invited me. Like, we're all going together, and will you come? Like, they seem to be coming at me from a number of ways, which only really kind of raises my hackles. Like, I'm not going. I'm going to stay right here. I can cover this conflict from here, and I don't wish to be wooed by any side. I actually don't wish to be persuaded.
Have you been invited by any other foreign country?
No.
Okay. That's the part, right? So we have tons of lobbyists foreign countries lobbyists that come to Washington, D.C. Pretty much every country has some sort of representative. They have an ambassador they send to Washington. It's naturally in their interest. We can understand that. They also are required to register under FARA. It's a law. They have to register as a foreign agent, a foreign lobbyist. That is required. It's extremely important. Here's the difference with AIPAC. AIPAC is not registered under FARA, under this law that requires anyone coming to lobby a member of Congress or a senator or department of the government and the federal government on behalf of another country. So AIPAC argues, but we're Americans. Yes, they are Americans, but they are coming to Congress and to the federal government asking on behalf of the country of Israel. And I fully agree with you, Megyn. We are not against Israel. We are all for their right to defend themselves, just as we are for any Jewish person on campus. Just as I think we could talk about young white males in high school that are constantly getting beat up.
Yeah.
Guess what? They should have a right to defend themselves too. And people.
As they should. And they do. They do. Welcome, folks. We're back. This is Christian Conservative, your trusted source for bold, unfiltered news and analysis on the issues that matter most to Christian conservatives. I'm KJ, along with Michelle Talkington. How are you doing tonight, Michelle?
I'm great tonight. Hello, everybody.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Come on in. As you do, hit that like button. It really helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience. We are going to talk about some really popular, trending, viral topics today, starting off, of course, with that Megyn Kelly, Marjorie Taylor Greene interview. We're going to dig into AIPAC, what exactly it is, where it started, and should it be labeled a foreign lobby group? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the trans agenda. Where did it begin? Was gay marriage the impetus to the trans agenda? And then we're going to go down to Florida and talk about this viral news story about this left-wing teacher who nominated her student to be the most likely to become a dictator. So we're going to talk about that and more. We got a lot to talk about tonight. So again, folks, this is Christian Conservative. We, from faith and family to politics and culture, we tackle the hard truths and stand firm on biblical principles. All right. So let's get into all of this. Michelle, I see we have folks as you all come in. Again, we love our chat. Your super chats go a long way in helping us produce conservative content, Christian conservative content, and it's the best way to get your voice heard in the conversation. All right, so let's get into this interview. So this was Marjorie Taylor Greene's first time on the Megyn Kelly show. Did you get a chance to watch the whole interview, Michelle, or did you get?
I watched almost all of it, not just from our clips, but I do watch I watch a lot of things, probably like you, KJ, and so many people in our chat. It's very interesting, and I tend to follow or listen to what Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is for Republicans one of the extreme voices, but a lot of times she just makes sense. Mm-hmm. And what I know about her, she's going to stick to her guns, and not everybody likes that. They want that flexibility. They want her to fall back or calm down or be different, but not to the same extreme as, who I call Crazy Crockett. So
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
like Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. I think she is one of the strong voices in the MAGA movement. She's been one of the first voices in the MAGA movement, in conservative movement, Christian conservatives. She's a strong voice in Georgia. I don't know if you know, but she's also in the same industry, sort of like the builder. I think she has a contracting company.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, she's a business owner. But lately she has been coming hard for Israel. She has made some very strong statements about our allegiance with Israel. She feels like we have been giving too much money to them. And she was on Megyn Kelly's show talking about how they are not registered under FARA. So I want to dig into this. Now, FARA requires registration if you're an agent or a foreign principal, meaning you take money or direction from a foreign government or political party to influence U.S. policy. Okay, I actually had the same question when I heard about AIPAC. And and all this stuff has been, people are always really pushing, very critical of AIPAC. And so I was wondering the same thing. I was like, well, why aren't they registered like other foreign lobbyists? But here's the truth. AIPAC is a US-based nonprofit made up of American citizens. It is not directed or funded by the Israeli government. It files disclosures under the Lobbying Disclosure Act, just like groups such as the NRA, the Sierra Club, and AARP. So again, the major difference, FARA covers foreign agents. AIPAC is a domestic advocacy group run by Americans. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
Yeah, and so if you don't know, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, so we're just referring to it as, AIPAC. So I want everybody out there, if you don't know it, and having run for Congress, U.S. Congress, and yes, PACs are a big deal. Donations are a major deal, and there's so much money connected. And this organization, if you don't know, it will put tens of millions of dollars into defeating candidates that are not following their agenda, which for us could be great if we're looking at New York with who they're trying to elect as mayor, this Mondani character. So I wouldn't mind if they got involved in that. But you're right, KJ. The difference is that these are Americans, are American, Israeli Americans, Jewish Americans.
They're Americans, yeah.
They're Americans. And they simply believe that we should always be supporting Israel, which is fine. And they happen to have access and have the ability to make money. And a lot of these PACs do. And I think right now we're in that touchy place with Israel. Of course, we know the world's against it. So I think that's why this is such a hot button ticket. They're registered the right way. They're filing the right way. You can look them up. You can see who they're donating to for campaigns. So it's pretty clear. You just might not like the agenda. And for Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is American. She is America first. This is MAGA. This is, America first. The only thing I'm with her on is I don't like our money going anywhere, frankly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And as you mentioned, so, AIPAC was initially called the American Zionist Council. It was renamed AIPAC in 1959. It was actually founded in 1951. It's a bipartisan Jewish lobbying group advocating for strong U.S.-Israel relations, focusing on military and economic aid, diplomatic support, and policies aligning with Israeli government priorities. So they support a two-state solution with demilitarized Palestinian state. So they're not even very conservative. They give to both parties. They have over 100,000 members with $107.7 million budget. Now, this was back in 2017. But again, they lobby Congress like other of these other lobbying groups. And so, we want to go into it a little bit more, but here's another clip from the interview where they continue to talk about it. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene said Israel is the only country with this kind of influence in Washington. Take a look. This is clip 2.
However, Israel is the only country I know of that has some sort of incredible influence and control over nearly every single one of my colleagues. And it is, I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, I believe it just given the amount of reach out I've had in this position. And I don't vote on anything, you know, And if I had taken money, I could see them really thinking that they had a right to control my speech or, you know, my positions. Right. Which is why I never have, of course. I mean, in what context would I? I don't take advertising from, you know, random people. Like I always say, I have Genucel, whose cosmetics are really nice.
We love good cosmetics.
Yeah, but I can't be bought by a special interest group. But I can see it because, look, no one wants to feel like their position has been bought and paid for. But these politicians, they have. And so I can see why AIPAC would get mad if these politicians then turned on them and didn't support. You know, it's like, what did my 3,800 times 3 get me if you're not going to vote for my issues?
Exactly, because AIPAC are Americans, therefore they can legally donate to members of Congress and senators. So let's talk about how.
Okay, so let's get into that because Marjorie Taylor Greene made it seem like AIPAC has all this power in Congress. And when you look at college campuses, when you look at our education system, if they got power, I haven't seen it. I mean, I really haven't seen it. And it's the case, they don't have a lot of power. So again, they're not the only lobby with sway in DC. Now, on the domestic side, there are multiple Israel-related organizations besides AIPAC. You have J Street, the Democratic Majority for Israel, NORPAC, and others. But when it comes to AIPAC, just like there are all kinds of lobbies, AIPAC they're not even in the top 10 as far as amount of money they donate to Congress. So the top 10 countries that have spent the most on lobbying the U.S. government, this is based in 2023 this is the most recent data I could found, is Liberia's number 1. They do 235.57 million. China, they give 103.23 million. Japan is number 3 at 94.43 million. Then you have the Bahamas, Canada, Saudi Arabia is 69.33 million. South Korea, I was shocked when I read this list. Yeah. South Korea is in the top 10 of lobbying the U.S. government at 62.43 million. Qatar is number 9 at 51.29, and number 10 is the United Arab Emirates with 46.88 million. So it looks like to me, most of these countries are dictatorship communist countries. They have the most influence on our U.S. government. What are your thoughts on this, Michelle?
One, you're correct. There's so much money. This just it's a large lobbying group, and you're right. They're not even in the top 10. But for Jewish relationship, they are, and so that is what everybody is attacked. That's the attack. And we've got to know that. And she didn't just say the United States is swayed. She's talking about her colleagues. Yeah, but if you look at most Republican colleagues, they're Christian. And a lot of them are conservative Christians. And then a lot of them have their biblical backing that they're going to stand with Israel. So let's not be surprised. And KJ, I loved, we were talking in our last series, we talked about being Zionists. Like, okay, by definition, I guess I'm a Zionist then. And KJ is too, so I don't mind it. So if you want to have a discussion just about who's pulling strings, again, China has far more control, especially under that last administration, the Biden administration, who would bend over backwards and do anything and everything to let them keep stealing our intellectual property, to let them keep destroying our businesses because they're stealing the business. So I just think it's nonsense. And but lobbyists do have sway. And for those who do donate, they do have expectations. So that's kind of why you got to drain the swamp. And that's why there should be term limits, frankly, so that nobody has enough power, nobody has enough sway as a politician to go one way or the other. That would limit this issue. So lobbyists would have to work a whole lot harder to convince anybody of these projects and doling out billions, if not trillions of dollars now for special interests. So I think that's just the bottom line. I don't have a problem with AIPAC. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're a PAC. They're a lobbying PAC. And the Christians in Congress are simply saying we're going to support Israel. Now let's just look at what things are being passed. And you're right, KJ, to your point. They didn't have a lot of power when we saw all this nonsense happening on college campuses with anti-Semitism. So clearly they don't have enough sway to prevent all of this, all of the atrocities and all of this Jewish hatred that we've seen.
Yeah, exactly. We have some super chatter here. So let's see here. Christina with the $2 super chat says, good evening. Hope your weekend has gone well. Thank you, Christina. Same here. Thank you so much for your super chat and for your support. All right. Yeah. I was shocked when I saw this because I mean, the pushback that we see Israel getting does not match the numbers, doesn't match it anywhere near. I mean, Israel did not even rank among the top 10 countries for lobbying spending in the United States. Again, this is based on 2023. So this is the most recent available data. But the amount their spending was approximately $3.5 million. Okay. And so when I saw Megyn Kelly, she's saying, well, all of these, Israel and these pro-Israeli people are asking me to take me to Israel. I'm thinking like, well, yeah, that's all they're for. They say, look, I'm not going to buy you, we're not going to be able to give you the money that Qatar and Saudi Arabia and all these other countries are spending, but I can at least take you to Israel so you can see with your own eyes, hear with your own ears that the things people are saying are not true.
Correct.
So, I was shocked to see that. I really was. And so, when we talk about these, there are other PACs that are not registered with FARA as well. One is CAIR, CAIR. So that is the Muslim civil rights advocacy organization. They are oftentimes supported by Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and a lot of progressive Congress people. So CAIR, and now unlike AIPAC, where AIPAC pretty much tries to lobby both sides of the aisle, this CAIR pretty much only sticks to progressives. They've also been tied to terrorist groups. A lot of, I think they've been accused of unduly influencing U.S. foreign policy with critics like Representative Ilhan Omar. They face I think they've been banned in some countries because they've been deemed pro Hamas. They've funded some. They've been accused of funding terrorist-backed groups. They've been designated a terrorist organization by the UAE in 2014 and accused by some U.S. critics of ties to the Muslim Brotherhood and, as I mentioned, Hamas. Okay. Qatar accused, they've also faced backlash from conservatives for allegedly anti-American agendas and funding from foreign Muslim nations like Qatar. So, but they're not registered under FARA either, because they are deemed as, I believe, their member operates as they operate as a 501c3 nonprofit with chapters across the U.S. And they are also seem to have their members are Americans. So this is the other side of the coin, but we don't hear much about CAIR, CAIR. It's all about AIPAC. So what are are you familiar with CAIR, Michelle?
So for CAIR, really, they do not support democracy, and they definitely are in place to undermine any republic. So let's just be perfectly clear. That is why they support progressives, not because they agree with the progressive agenda, not because they're not conservative in their family values, but because they need governments eroded. That is part of their agenda, but that goes back to the Islamic agenda as a whole. And you're right. Any organization where all of its members hate the United States, to think that they're here trying to elect officials or help people get elected. So that, to me, they should be called out. We should be looking at those organizations, those PACs. You're right. But again, whether you take Marjorie Taylor Greene seriously or not, the issue is that why are we always going on the attack on Israel or Israeli PACs? And let me just tell you, nobody forces anybody to take money from these PACs.
Right.
All right. In fact, some of us who are new politicians are getting in, we're begging for PACs to just pick us up. We're like, hey, we would love to have more money to spend to get elected and have fresh ideas in Congress. Nobody's forcing it. It's just ridiculous. So no, I will never support or take money from those organizations. I have no problem with those operating legally. Yeah, I don't know why we're on this kick. I don't know with her. I don't know with Candace Owens that we've talked about. There's so many Tucker bringing on people that I'm like, what's happening? But again, Christian conservative, this is just spiritual. This is just a spiritual battle.
Right.
So you got to pay attention to that.
Absolutely. And for the record, I don't agree with most of the lobbying. I think that these lobbyists tear away from the actual goal of government, which are supposed to be for the people, by the people. So when these lobbyists are able to get in and they take up all the time and attention with their money and things like that with these Congress people, I think it erodes the government. It erodes, what should be. But as you mentioned, Michelle, people need to be fair across the board and criticize all of these lobbies fairly. And when you look at the power and influence that these lobbies have, which we've just laid out for you, it's not, AIPAC is a small potato. They are, very small on the grand scheme of things when you see all of this money and influence in government, when you compare what they're doing and then what these other countries are doing. We do have a super chatter here. So let me see here. JT Thompson with the $10 super chat says, evening, ladies. I support Israel, but it is always good to remember one either has empathy for all or for none. We turn into bad people without empathy. All right. Thank you so much, JT, for your $10 super chat. Yeah. Yep. That is a very good reminder. We have Redbucks with the $3 super sticker. Thank you for your support, Redbucks. We really appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, that is a very good reminder. And, this is what we're trying to do here. But again, I mean, the criticism that we've seen is not indicative of the money and influence that we're actually seeing in government. And that's what I don't understand. Why do we have all this uproar about AIPAC and Israel when the people go down that list? We need to be talking about Saudi Arabia, Qatar, South Korea. That's
big industry for South Korea. I understand where they're trying to be a partner, but when we're talking about the United Emirates, we're talking about Qatar. Those are the nations that come in and they dominate our schools. So they're not just getting politicians elected and throwing money by the millions. They are controlling Harvard. They're controlling Columbia. Those nations are interfering at such an extreme that we should all be upset. We should all be calling them out. And President Trump has done that. Right. He's done that. And I'm grateful that he has pulled federal funding. He's like, fine, you're going to do business this way. You're going to do this. Then we'll just stop here. because they have interfered and influenced in the worst of ways. And not necessarily because they support the United States. Some of them are like sharks waiting for us, just circling around until we fall and doing anything and everything they can to make sure it happens quietly if they can. And if they can get to politicians, which they do all the time, which they have on lockdown, they will.
Absolutely. And at least with AIPAC, again, our government officials still should always put America first, okay? Mm-hmm. And we need to make sure we're safe at home economically, militarily, on across the board before we are engaging in giving money to for other countries. But at least AIPAC or Israel, they shared many of our common values, whereas many of these other countries on this list do not. But they're actually seem to have more influence with more money in shaping these U.S. policies. So, in my opinion, we need to really dig in to see why China is the second largest entity, foreign government spending on our government. On our U.S. government.
Why are they buying up all our farmland?
Exactly.
I have been calling this out for a decade to say, why are we allowing foreign nations to buy up our farmland and to buy up properties, not just farmland properties that are near our bases, our military bases? It is one of the most outrageous things, and it happened. It was on steroids under the Biden administration. I truly hope that this administration goes in and forces these foreign entities, foreign governments to lobbying is one thing. But to buy up our U.S. soil and use it and put people on it that are not American citizens and not for the American good, that is outrageous. And other nations.
Michelle, now we see why they're buying these politicians with their money and influence via lobbying, and then the politicians are turning a blind eye and letting them buy up this land. This is what that's what it looks like to me.
It is. It's outrageous. And I don't know how we turn this back, but they're going to have to be, and again, lover or hater, but there's going to have to be some people in high places, some politicians willing to just put on their big pants, tighten up their belts and say enough's enough. Enough's enough from some of these crazy lobbyists. Enough's enough and we've made election cycles, let's just be clear, into a big money grab. They will tell you outright, if you can't raise $1 to $6 million, don't bother. They've made it clear they do not want our republic, our constitutional republic, to have representatives like us who are really from the republic, just regular average American citizens. They want the people that bring in the millions of dollars. They've made it a show and not about our values. So that's another issue that we have to fight. But how do you do it? You would have to turn around almost 30 to 40% in Congress that would have to be new politicians. They would have to be new to get that to happen. So I don't know if that's going to be anytime sooner in my lifetime, but KJ, we're in a tough spot. I think this administration is kind of that last stance that we have to turn things around and to go full steam ahead with fixing our nation and getting back to what we were. And I'm a constitutionalist, for those of you guys who don't know. Yes, I'm a Republican, but it's all about the Constitution.
Yeah, same here. And it's all about facts also. It's all about facts. And this is what we are about, and this is why we're talking about this interview, because there were claims made by Marjorie Taylor Greene that they weren't all the way true. And so we're fans, supporters of her, but we're bigger supporters of the truth. Yeah. And I'm surprised Megyn Kelly did not call her out on more of these inconsistencies. Now, here in this next exchange, she did sort of call her out a little bit, but we're going to get in the details of it. This is clip 3.
Had a ruling that you can burn any flag in the United States of America, and including our own American flag, except you can't burn the Israeli flag in America.
Who said that?
Judge McFadden.
In what context?
In his court. It just happened.
Well, that's not going to be upheld.
It shouldn't be.
That's a violation.
Okay, so that was totally not correct what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. There is no court ruling that broadly prohibits burning the Israeli flag in the United States. So I want to unpack this, because this kind of stuff, when I saw that interview, I was like, what? Why are they prohibiting the burning of the Israeli flag but not the burning of the American flag? I mean, who cares? I mean, this isn't Israel, so that doesn't make sense. So I researched it, and it didn't make sense because it's not true. The claim that burning the Israeli flag is illegal stems from a misunderstanding or misrepresentation, I don't know which one is it, of a specific federal court ruling in DC this month. In the case of Sumrail v. Ali, Judge McFadden issued a narrow ruling in a civil lawsuit stating that an assault involving the yanking of an Israeli flag worn around a Jewish person's neck was likely motivated by racial discrimination, not just a political protest. So the judge equated the act to targeting the Star of David, a symbol of Jewish identity, and applied the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which protects against racial discrimination. So this resulted in a stay away order, not a general ban or burning or desecrating the Israeli flag. It was a ruling that it didn't criminalize burning the Israeli flag as a form of protected speech under the First Amendment, which the Supreme Court has upheld for flag burning. It just established that burning any flag, including the American flag, is protected symbolic speech unless it involves a direct threat, incitement to violence, or property damage, which this did. This is what that's why he was found guilty of that. But it wasn't about burning a flag. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
I'm going to be with JT. He posted, he said, MTG, often wrong, but never hesitant.
Oh, I didn't even see it. Oh, wait, let me see. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, he is kind of true.
She's quick to be upset about things. She's very passionate about things, but she doesn't necessarily flesh it all out. And then I'm just going to tell you, I don't know who her interns are. So if any of you guys have ever been in, there's a lot of congressional interns. And often they will find your data. They're young. They'll get your clicks. They'll see what's on social media. And they're also the ones that will read all of these bills. So, who has time to read if you're given a bill in the middle of the night and it's 400 pages long and they're like, we're going to vote in the morning, we're voting tomorrow. Yeah. So they will do a lot of this heavy lifting. So you kind of got to be careful of the advice you're getting, even if they're within your own circle, right. Even if they're getting paid and then you're intern. So it could just be that she gets a lot of this from interns, or she gets, she does read her mail. She does hear from constituents. She's one of the few that I'll actually pay attention to an average person. So it seems like one of those things she jumped on and was wrong.
Yeah. Boldly wrong. Yeah. But again, this is what we do. But that's a big thing to be wrong about, because it really paints a distorted picture again or this idea that, we have, when I say we, I mean, the American government has, taken the side, or the Trump administration has taken the side of Israel over America. And it's not the case. McFadden's ruling was only related to a civil matter based on the totality of the circumstances in that particular incident. So no, it's not illegal to burn an Israeli flag. Okay. And so we gotta, correct our side too, when we hear these misrepresentations. We really do. And this is what we're here for, folks. So please, as you all come in, please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. This is Christian Conservative. We are your bold, unfiltered Christian conservatives. We provide you, the analysis and critique of news and pop culture from a biblical perspective. So if this is where we share like values and things like that, subscribe to stay informed, inspired, and empowered. So moving right along, we want to change gears a little bit and talk about this viral video that has been going around on the internet, talking about whether gay marriage paved the way for the trans agenda. Take a look and then let's get into it. This is clip 5.
An uncomfortable reality for modern day conservatives to recognize, and that is that the legalization of gay marriage is part of the slippery slope that led us to where we are today with the trans agenda. And I say that as someone who used to be a liberal and who fought for the legalization of gay marriage. But when you accept gay marriage, both legally and culturally, what you are implicitly saying to the culture is that men and women are essentially interchangeable, that there are no fundamental differences between men and women, that a man and a woman is not in fact necessary, that nothing sacred happens but when a man comes together in union with a woman, that in fact it can be a man and a man or a woman and a woman, and it's all just pretty much the same. It's all valid, it's all equal, it's all good. It doesn't matter. And who are you to say that someone's feelings of love or their feelings in general are not as valid as your feelings, right? So when you do that, when you accept that as a culture, it's really only a hop, skip, and a jump. And for us, it took about 10 years to be at a place where a man can feel like a woman, where a man can even become a woman. Why can't he? Men and women are interchangeable, right? A man and a woman are not necessary, right? You can have a man and a man, you can have a woman and a woman, and the outcome is just the same for the children, for the family, for everyone, right? It's all equal, it's all valid. And who are you to say that a person in a male body doesn't feel like a woman? Who are you to say that their feelings are not valid? So I understand that that's hard for a lot of modern day conservatives to accept, and for a lot of the L, the G, and the B crowd to accept that they are part of what led us to the T, but it's the reality.
Wow. All right, Michelle, let's dig into this. What did you think of that? Do you agree with that?
It is a great video, guys. I feel like we're back on like where we were with our 3 week or like 3 week. This is such a touchy subject for so many people. Yeah. And of course, this was all under the Obama administration. So we should not be surprised of how much stuff happened under his administration. And it's a slippery slope. So yes, do I agree with her with a lot of what she is saying? We're just in a fallen world.
Yeah.
And you give evil of any kind an inch and it takes 10 miles. It'll take the world. Satan's, goal to steal, to kill, to destroy, and to destroy marriage. Mm-hmm. He's always after the family. This is why we have video clips of children, the things that happen in this attack against children, attack with real biological women, because the attack is on the family. Anything that he can do to destroy a man and a woman and a marriage and having children and being fruitful and knowing the gospel, he will do. And he did. So I was talking to my husband about it just today. And he's like, yeah, I don't equate the two, but it opened up the door. Mm-hmm. It was opening up Pandora's box to what could happen next. And again, this LGBTQT, I really think it's a different entity that, yes, maybe that was that tiny evil that started. But I think what we're seeing now and what we've seen the last 4 years is a totally different spiritual demonic entity that has gone on full attack. Yeah, it was a good one, guys. I'm reading these chats.
Yeah, guys, sound off and let us know what you think. I 100% agree with what she said. Yeah. I think the chain of distortion was marriage, gender, humanity. So, and you guys who have been watching us for some time know that this is sort of where this is my bread and butter, because I believe the ultimate end is transhumanism. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, God designed marriage as a covenant between one man and one woman, and redefining that union distorts gender roles. And this is where it started when culture accepted same-sex marriage. Again, I don't agree with it, but if they had said they were something else, like what did you call it? Civil union?
Civil unions, correct.
Right. They should have kept it there. They should have kept it there. But redefining marriage, it broke the link between male and female and family structure. See, this is the main part as well. It's not just marriage. Everybody is always talking about, oh, what has done to marriage? No, it was the beginning of redefining roles, not just in marriage, but the entire family unit. And it opened the door for transgender ideology, because if gender roles don't matter in marriage, then gender itself can be erased. And once gender is erased, humanity itself becomes fluid, paving the way for transhumanism. The idea that we can redefine what it means to be a human. This is real stuff, folks. And in my opinion, this is the number one issue affecting us all, because everything begins with marriage. Everything, the family, relationships, defining what mother is, what father is. It all starts there. That is, what reflects the Christ in the church. Ephesians 5:22-32. That's what about Christ in the church. That's what God says in the Bible about how that marriage is a reflection of that. So when we start saying that's interchangeable and we start getting the mindset of interchangeability, the same logic that says a man can become a woman comes out of that.
And there are still nations that push back. So we like to pretend this is everywhere. This was normal. It wasn't. European nations, Canada, of course, they like to join in everything. Go. I'm sorry if there's anybody out there in Canada. We pray for you too, the same as we pray for Americans. We're praying for all nations. But Italy, Japan, and right now they're trying to make that push in Japan. But Italy, Japan, South Korea, there are still nations where same-sex marriage is illegal. And we don't like to talk about, and maybe it's because of all our woke politicians and all those woke people don't like to talk about Black and brown people. They have them on their side, but there's still nations where African nations even punishable by death. Being gay is punishable by death still.
I won't go. I don't agree with that. I don't agree.
That's what I'm saying. There are nations that are still extreme. So I'm with you. If they just kept it at civil unions,
right?
Like when you redefine, and it goes back to Christianity, when you redefine morality, that was my issue. When you start redefining what is moral and what is right, it's heartbreaking to see. And we've fallen into that. And again, that's that Sodom and Gomorrah. There's nothing new under the sun. Nope. This is not new. It's just that we made everything acceptable.
Right.
And then we pushed the agenda. That's when you started having children's books and cartoons start showing the two mommies and the two daddies. And that was where my issue was during the Obama administration. And then shortly thereafter, I was like, well, wait a second. It's one thing. Okay, great. Supreme Court made their decision. It's, too late for right now, but we saw what happened with Roe v. Wade. So I'm just saying that when I started seeing it pushed on children was my issue. And you're right, KJ, was that breakdown. I liked her clip. I'm glad it's going viral. I'm glad it's starting the discussion. I know a lot of people that are gay, that are in a gay marriage, and they say they're happily married and everything. And you pray for everybody, no matter what. It's not about condemnation, because again, at the end of the day, we all answer to the Most High God. Everyone will answer to God. But for this reason, a man will, leave his mom and cleave to his wife. These are biblical truths. This is morality. This is the word that we are following. And when we saw it here in the United States, and we are, supposed to be founded on Christian values, that's where you start to question. I just question everything. And what do we do? And what do we do?
Yeah, we can't. I mean, like you mentioned. Well, I want to get the super chat first. Let's see here. We have Christina with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. She says, this is the question I always ask myself. Is it from God or from Satan? It can't be both or in the middle. If not from God, guess where it's from? The Bible is our go-to answer this question. Absolutely, Christina. And that's the thing. It's like you said, I mean, you don't want, I don't go out and try to offend people.
Mhm.
You know, that's never my goal. But then I think about how far we've gone off the deep end, you know, and it's from us as Christians, as Bible believers. We not wanting to offend, you know, we wanting to, the doors of the church are open and everybody can come in, which they can. But then we have a situation where the church and Christians have become flexible for the culture. Instead of us changing the culture has changed us.
Yeah.
And now we're at this point where you have this transhumanism. And this takes it even further by blurring the lines between human and machine, between natural and artificial. And both movements flow from the same rebellion, rejecting God's created order and trying to become our own gods. And so what we've seen now is this whole technocratic and political agenda form. So once marriage was redefined, big tech and global elites saw the cultural door open wide to redefine everything, from transgender ideology in schools, which desensitizes the next generation, to radical redefinitions of humanity. I mean, we got all these robots. We talked about this on Pop and Politics. These sex bots are big. The transhumanist agenda is really starting to explode, like AI integration, gene editing, and designer babies. Yeah. You know, this stuff is real. It's all sold as progress, but rest on the same rejection of the creation of truth. It's, you know, truth creation. And this is where it's going, folks. So we can't be silent. We got to stick up. We got to stand up against it.
I don't. That's why I was never in support of these mRNA vaccines. Even that, I was like, okay, this is where it starts. And I mentioned earlier the extremes, where there's some nations that are full extremes. By the way, Islam is full extreme on some of these issues. So I don't ignore them. Totally. And you're right, KJ, totally disagree, because whatever your sin is, that's your sin. We all have it. But we're talking about when the nation makes a decision that falls so far away from what its core values were, where do we stand? And to the point that a lot of my super chatters are in here saying, where is the church during all of this? Where were they and where are they? Well, what we see is that a lot of churches are flying LGBTQ flags and not preaching the gospel.
Right.
Yeah. So then all of morality is becoming blurred. And if you're going to that church and bringing your children there, then you don't know what to think because you're not getting the word. And you're right. And that leads to the extreme on the other end, KJ, is the transhumanism, which, by the way, if you want to go biblical, if you really want to get into it, the Nephilim were that very thing. Satan's been doing this for a very long time, with distorting and wanting to destroy or change or create and manipulate humanity. Why? Because he can't create. Only God could create, but he can manipulate. And he's been doing it since the beginning, and he's going to continue to do it. But where do we take our stand? So I love her clip. Where do we say enough? Yeah. But I still believe marriage is between one man and one woman. And Jesus even reiterates that it's Old Testament and New Testament. You can find it. So
yeah, you're right, Michelle. You are absolutely right. But guess what? Some people are standing up. And this takes us to our next topic. Folks, as you come in, please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. All right, we're trying to grow this channel, and we want to get this out in front of as many people as possible. So please subscribe with us, join our community. All right, so speaking of people standing up, a left-wing teacher was just suspended because she nominated her own Florida student as most likely to become a dictator all because he was conservative. Take a look at this. We're going to unpack this. This is clip 4.
My son, 6 years old, was prohibited from sitting next to his friend on the school bus because a parent objected to my perspectives on book challenges. My older son's history teacher allowed students to label him a Nazi file simply for his interest in history and participation in ROTC. She later nominated my son as the most likely to become a dictator and had his classmates vote on it and try to force him to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values and our perspectives.
Thank you. James.
Wow. All right, folks. So this actually occurred in May of 2023. Gainesville high school teacher Lauren Watts targeted a conservative ROTC student by naming him most likely to become a dictator. Classmates were reportedly allowed to call him a Nazi file. The student refused the award, which his mother, that was her there, Dr. Crystal Marule, says was retaliation for their family's conservative values and outspoken stance. So fast forward to this month in August, after Dr. Marule's emotional testimony at the Florida State Board of Education meeting we just saw, the issue gained statewide attention. See, this is why we do what we do here. This is why we do it. Public outrage forced the Alachua County School District to suspend Watts' pending investigation. This shows the power of parents refusing to stay silent. Michelle, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that teacher should have been fired immediately. So that's number one. But again, we're looking at 2023 when the incident happened. What administration was in charge? The Biden administration, the Biden-Harris. So of course they're going to stand by calling children Nazis and calling them all kinds of stuff. That's what they did. And that's what they still do, right? They haven't learned their lessons, especially in the Democrat Party. They haven't learned, but that teacher has no business teaching. And as the other student, the ones that were encouraged to stand up and make fun of, I would be angry as one of those children's parents to say, you let my son or my daughter do what? You encouraged them to say what about another kid and to be an outright bully? That's what you did. So everybody all around, and it's sad that it took this long. I'm so proud of that mom for going to the school board meetings. Guys, that's why elections matter at the local levels. That's why parents are so important and standing up for your children, because no one's going to do it like us. Mm-hmm. We have to. And we can't be afraid, because these school board members think that they are just, the end all be all. They really feel like they're congressmen or senators sometimes, the way that they respond and react. But I'm so proud of her. I'm glad she got these results. Gavin Newsom's probably going to welcome her with open arms to California and give her an honorary professor's degree and put her in some college at this point. But I hope she can file civil charges. I hope she gets some type of punitive damage for what she did to that child.
Well, the Florida Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, demanded this teacher, Watts, be fired and lose her teaching license, citing violations of laws against bullying and harassment. Education Commissioner Stacey Kamutasas filed an official complaint with the Education Practices Commission seeking disciplinary sanctions. This is being treated as more than a bad joke. It's being treated as discrimination. So I really hope that teacher is fired and she is unable to teach again. But the bigger picture about this is conservative students are being mocked, bullied, and alienated in classrooms across the country. This is just one incident that was able to gain a national attention, but it reflects a broader agenda. Normalize hostility towards Christian and conservative values while protecting leftist ideologies. If you get a pronoun wrong, they are pitting a fit about that. But something like this, it gets swept under the rug. Schools are supposed to be safe learning environments, not indoctrination camps. So, this is why this stuff is important for us to talk about and and talk to our kids also. Make them aware of what's going on, that they have rights, and they need to let us know if they are made to feel uncomfortable by anyone, not just students, not just peers, but teachers and administrators as well.
Yeah, there's still, to your point, KJ, I think it's Loudoun County. Again, it's always, this is Northern Virginia. We're right around the corner from it. And they just suspended students who were normal boys in a boys' locker room because a transgender boy, which is a woman, a young girl went in there and, filming. Great. She got to film, but they got suspended for saying, dude, is there a girl in here? Why is there a girl in here? Because they didn't want to just accept that she was a man or a boy. She's not.
Right.
They don't have to accept it, but we have gotten to the point where normal, regular, everyday values are mocked. You're right. And we've allowed teachers to be the ringleaders. We've allowed school boards to encourage it. And then we have governors, at the top level that go ahead and protect the perpetrators. So it's up to us to push back. And that was just, again, that teacher should never have a teaching position. But we know that there's going to be some far left areas. We know she'll probably find an opportunity, but we need to kind of get them all out.
Oh,
this is the time we need to smoke them all out.
Absolutely.
Like cockroaches. I want to see them scatter. I want to shine the light on the cucarachas that are just over here teaching our children and getting away with this nonsense. And I don't care if it was last year, this year, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, they have to go.
And who is hiring them? Because it is not just a coincidence that I can spot them a mile away. These nutty leftist teachers, work people, you go in public places, I can spot them a mile away. So why are they being hired to interact and engage and give instruction to our children? That's what I want to know. So it's definitely an agenda. Christian conservative voices must support young people being targeted for their values. Folks, we got to stick together on this. We have to stick together and shout these people out. The fact that the system acted only after public exposure shows we need watchdogs. We need alternative media like us and parents willing to speak up. This is why I am a full supporter, as I know you are, Michelle, of Moms for Liberty.
I am.
They're doing the job. They're doing a great job at some of this stuff.
They have. I've been a guest speaker for them or keynote speaker. They've done amazing at that. But really all they did is they were regular moms that spoke out and they decided to empower moms themselves. And I think that's the kind of grassroots we need. These fake grassroots movements like the Palestine, Free Palestine, that's not organic. That's paid for. No, we are the real deal. We're conservatives, we're Christians, or we're just a mom and dad. Doesn't matter the political party. Protect children. Do what's right and we need to force leadership to be accountable. Force the principals who hired, whoever picked it, hold them accountable. Not just the teacher who did it, but the ones who stood by and allowed it and didn't do any kind of reprimand for it. They should be held accountable too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why I'm so happy that we are starting to see more Christian conservative media surge. Podcasts like ours, Allie Beth Stuckey from Relatable, even platforms like the Babylon Bee are gaining traction, and they are offering biblical perspectives, conservative perspectives on culture and politics. And this trend is empowering. It empowers conservative Christians to counter mainstream narratives, and it's needed. Even places, like I said, I know somebody asked about the Babylon Bee. Well, it's satire and it's supposed to be comedy, but it's good. It's still good because it's poking fun at these leftists. So the Babylon's Bee's humor exposes the absurdity of woke culture in ways mainstream comedy won't. We used to have mainstream comedy that would that would highlight these insane things that people do in woke culture, but they won't even touch it anymore. And so the Babylon Bee is a great tool for that. You know, as I mentioned, Relatable, us here, where we're providing, you know, in-depth Bible and policy and culture. We're bringing it all together and pushing back against Marxism, secularism, and globalist agendas.
I love it. I love it. You're right. And to our comment, yeah, Babylon Bee is hilarious. And there was a time where funny was funny. I mean, as a kid, I remember all the shows that I watched, and it became so political and it became so left leaning that I had to turn the shows off. But right now, I am so proud that we are canceling late night television shows because they became so political. Right. So I think we're seeing a turn in that tide where people are saying, okay, fine, we're not going to tune in. Fine, we're not going to watch you. Fine. You know, you want to go that way. You want every show that you have to be ultra political when we were watching for fun, then we're not going to watch anymore. And I couldn't be happier to see every kind of show that's canceled. I love entertainment. I just want you to do what you're supposed to do. And you're right, KJ, let us do what we do, which is stick to conservative values and give perspective. And we bring in everything. And we're not afraid to call ourselves out too. If we're wrong, we're wrong. And if people, our super chatters, make comments, we're going to read them. We don't care if it's attacking us or disagreeing with us. We want to hear from you, because really it's about influencing and getting the word out and letting people know there is a voice of reason that's out here. You're not alone. That's kind of what I love being in here. We're not alone. We're silenced for so long.
Absolutely. And even in movies and you know, culture, you know, have you guys sound off in the chat? And I want to ask you, Michelle, have you heard of this new Netflix show called The Hunting Wives? It's oh my God. So I saw the previews for it. It's supposed to be about some Republican, and it's based out of Texas, I believe. And it's surrounding like a group of Republicans and the wives. It's their families, really, but it centers on the wives and just all the shenanigans that go on. But they're supposed to be kind of like these conservative Republicans. Oh my God, it was terrible. I couldn't even get through the first episode.
5 minutes. I was done. I was like,
yeah, it was such a distortion. Oh, you could tell it was not written by conservatives. It was written by some hating leftists that hates conservatives, and they wanted to put out something to make fun of or what they believe conservatives are like. It's awful. It was awful.
It was a horrible caricature. It was a stereotype in the worst of ways. They could have come and filmed us because they don't want to talk about all of the Republican women that look like me and we have guns. Yeah. We'll start a club. So that didn't look like any friend group that I'm a part of. Let me just tell you right now. So I couldn't get that. It was, you know, this really, but then when you have Real Housewives and shows like that, it was kind of like, that's what they're going for. It's bizarre.
It was so bizarre. It was nothing but like a whole bunch of LGBT stuff. I was like, what?
Really?
Oh man. It was such a disappointment because I was like, oh, this might be cool. You know, it's, you know, maybe it won't be woke, you know, and you know, I'm all for like, you know, a good rom-com, you know, drama. I don't mind that.
That was not it.
No, it was not. It was not it. It was not it at all. But this is what I'm talking about. But the opposite of that is trad pop. So not sure if you guys have heard, but this week, or over the last couple of weeks, reports that trad pop, a music genre steeped in conservatism and Christianity, is dominating charts, reflecting the current political climate and resonating with conservative Christian values. So I don't know if anyone in the chat heard of trad pop. I hadn't heard of it. Well, I've heard of it, but I didn't know this was it. I didn't know this was the name. And so basically what it does is it's a hybrid music genre combining traditional pop sensibilities with spiritual Christian and country music elements. So it emphasizes in the lyrics, it emphasizes faith, family, personal values, and resilience. And it appeals to a conservative Christian audience. So some of the notable artists are Benson Boone. He sings Beautiful Things. Alex Warren sings Ordinary. You familiar with it, Michelle?
I sing a song like daily. It's on my playlist. So a lot of the songs are on my playlist. The kids sing along. Yeah.
Apparently it particularly resonates with young men struggling with issues like male loneliness, and things like that. So it's rising, and it's good to see, because we see a lot of this rap and this degenerate debauchery kind of music and scene, not just in music but also in Hollywood. So this trad pop is really nice to see that it's dominating the music industry right now. Also Jelly Roll, he's an artist that is along this genre. Brandon Lake, are you familiar with him? Is also a prominent artist.
He's on my playlist.
Oh, okay.
And not just that, but like Forrest Frank. There's a lot of these artists that are going viral on TikTok. I don't know if you've heard the song "I Need You Now More Than Ever," and it's just a Christian pop song, and there's a dance with it, and my kids and I do the dance. Nice. And it's so popular that I think he's got more downloads than like Drake, than some of these traditional artists. They are number one on billboards right now. It's a cultural shift back to normalcy, back to values. For how long? I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's pushing, good values, Christian values, conservative values, I'm for it, and I think Christina said you have to be careful with some of these artists. And I do know that too, because this industry is so tricky. So you really do have to be careful with it. But, we need this kind of stuff, we really do. And I'm happy to see that some of this is on the rise. Yeah. Not just with the music, but also with the platforms, with the podcasts. People are turning off their everyday news media and turning on media like us. And we're here to stay, folks. We are here to stay. We're living in a time of information warfare. Satan uses mainstream narratives to normalize sin. And, conservative Christians need to fight back. We do. We need to fight back by supporting one another. Yeah. So,
yeah, I do know, like I said, I have this on my playlist. I'm very careful. I think it's just that I like the artists. When it could be one song. Let's just look at Justin Bieber, which we've talked about on the show. Yeah, you have to be careful with Justin Bieber songs, but he has done songs. He has sung with a choir, right? He can sing a gospel hymn. And I'm not going to not listen to. I'm going to say I'm proud. I'm so glad that you decided that at least one song in your repertoire was going to represent your relationship with God. So when these artists themselves, and they're young artists or they're male artists, and they're deciding they're not going to go what now is, traditional route of being vulgar. I'm just happy they're not foul, frankly.
Right. Yeah. Because same here.
We got my husband's funny. We were driving by, what was it, Checkers or Raleigh's? We were driving by Checkers, and he saw the sandwiches, and it had a picture of Glorilla on there, and he said, "What's the Glorilla?" And I said, "What?" He's like, "The hamburger. Which one is the Glorilla?" I said, "That's her." I said, "It's a she." It's a rap part. But you know what I mean? We've got this Main Street where you can just make millions of dollars, and you can just be as disgusting as you want, as vulgar as you want, as foul as you want, and promote it in front of children. That's the other thing, applying to, going for a young audience. And they play it on regular radio. And it's one of those things. I remember what I listened to as a kid thinking, how did you let me listen to those lyrics? Wow. But I'm happy that right now there are songs trending that are Christian, full on outright Christian, topping the charts. And then there is this kind of genre where they're deciding, look, I might have a fun pop song or fun kind of rock song, but it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be negative. And I'm here for it, because we've got to capture this generation. We've got to bring them back. And especially for me, especially our young men, we attacked men so hard when they went after this toxic masculinity. And I have 3 sons. I have 3 daughters. I have 3 sons. I need my boys to know that they are okay. They are supported. It's okay to be masculine. It's okay to listen to songs that are about feelings or about loving women because they're going to be your wives. Can we do that again? Can we make that great again? So I like this. I like this trend.
Me too. Here's a clip of the song. If you guys, anybody interested, again, the young man, he was an American Idol winner, I believe. Or I don't know if he won the whole thing, but he was on American Idol. And we have just a small clip of his song here. Benson Boone is his name. Here we go. Yeah, I thought that was really cute. It was nice.
My kids sing that at the top of their lungs, and it's hilarious to have.
Really? Oh, wow.
They do. And the only thing I pray for in the artists, again, I'm always praying that they would be strong in their faith, but is not to fall. If you see Benson Boone, which I like him, my girls like him, my older adult girls, but he's doing a shift similar to Harry Styles. I don't know if you guys know. So once that world gets a hold of you and you start making that money, you start seeing artists that are in like onesies. You see outfits start to shift. You see stylists start to change things, and they start becoming more, feminine. And I really hope that he can stand firm, and that these young artists that are doing what they're doing and doing well can hold their ground in the industry that wants to destroy. Because the industry itself, we know that Satan's territory right now has been. If you've gone to any of these concerts, oh my gosh, they're scary. There are concerts that are full demonic seances. And I'm not exaggerating. I've had friends that left a concert because once the fire went up, once the chanting started, it was like, no, we're out. That's where we're at. So I'm praying they stand firm and they don't go that route where, again, Justin Bieber's of the world, and he had a whole backstory, but just that the money, the fame, and then that industry and the demonic things take over and harm them. So I'm proud of those artists, and I hope they keep going.
Yeah, same here. And we got to keep them in our prayers. Folks, we will be back on Thursday night, Christian Conservative, right here at 9 p.m. Please hit that like button and subscribe. We need your help. We need your support. We're a fairly new channel. We want to grow, and we only can do that with your help. So please, as you come in, hit that like button and subscribe. All right. So that does it for us tonight. Final thoughts, Michelle, for everybody.
Guys, I'm happy to have it's not even light topics, but compared to what we were doing lately, it feels like a light topic. I'm just being watchful. I like bringing up what's happening, calling it out, ending on a note like this where there's still hope.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. Tonight, there's still hope. We still have opportunities to spread the gospel. When you wake up in the morning, you have the opportunity. You can pray, you can worship. We get to worship the Most High God. We get to say thank you for breath. We get to shine light on all of these situations. You have to get out and do something. And we have that chance. So KJ, I love being a part of Christian Conservative. I love all my super chatters. You guys are great out there. It was great reading all the comments tonight. But yeah, we're in an end times era, and just be prayerful. But it was a great show.
Absolutely. That's it for today, folks. If you are blessed by this conversation, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're here to stand on truth, speak life, and fight for faith and family. We will be back on Thursday. Until next time, keep your eyes on Christ, your heart rooted in truth, and your voice unshaken. God bless.